Empress Sisi and why it's worth watching non-English period dramas. Today, I want to talk about Empress Sisi, something that's been on my mind for a while because me, when I was a little girl, I used to love Sisi. Sisi, if you don't know, her full real name is Elizabeth. Sisi was her like a nickname, and she was an empress of Austria in the 19th century, known for being extremely beautiful and being, like a people's empress. Sisi in Europe, in this continental Europe, non-English, Anglo-Saxon centered, was quite popular and popular in our pop culture. Definitely to help popularize Sisi and to romanticize her, were three movies from 1950s with Romy Schneider. Oh my God, me as a little girl, whenever, there was Sisi movie on TV, I used to watch it. I loved Romy Schneider. I loved the whole aesthetic. It was like a fairy tale. It was kind of reminding me Cinderella story. Aesthetically, it was very aligned with Cinderella. And if you look at the Disney Cinderella, it came out also in 1950s. And Cinderella also has, that aesthetic taken from the 19th century. Anyway, Sisi was well known to be that nice, gentle, kind empress, and she was presented to be, interested in different cultures, in different languages, to respect other nations. Back in the 19th century, the Austrian Empire and then later an Austrian-Hungarian Empire was huge, was like massive. To Austria belonged many territories that nowadays are separate countries. So yes, it was a big deal. And Sisi, especially in those, 1950s movies, was shown as, the time of stability, the time of legacy, the time of order. It's also important to say that those movies were created in 1950s after the Second World War. And Europe after the Second World War, needed to be rebuilt. Not only like physically, but also morally. Those movies were like uplifting the spirit and showing, as I mentioned before, the legacy of Austria, the legacy of Germany. They were one of the main hubs. If you take science, medicine, research, culture, you would go to Vienna. You would totally go to Vienna. And Sisi, in a way, was representing that. Because she was not only an empress, she was empress who cared about her people. At least that's what they want us to believe. Was it like that? Or it's a little bit, romanticized and a little bit added a little bit of touch up of colors here and there? I'd say it's a little bit of both. It's never black or white. It's always something in between. If you look at Sisi's life, it was not only, all the positives and roses and all the goody things. There were dark times in Sisi's life. And I think there were more dark times in her life than those bright ones. Sisi was born in 1837 on a Christmas Eve in Munich. Her father was a Bavarian duke. Mother, Princess Ludovica of Bavaria, was a younger sister of Archduchess Sophie of Bavaria, who was a mother to Emperor Franz Joseph. And this is quite important because this is how the story begins. Sisi was known to have a very free childhood. Free meaning she had a lot of freedom. She enjoyed, nature. She used to love horse riding, hunting with her father. I might say she was the kind of, free-spirited young girl. Archduchess Sophie, the mother of Franz Joseph, the current young emperor, decided that, okay, it's time for her son to marry. It's time for him to marry and to produce an heir. As a good mother, back in the day, she decided the best option would be to choose a girl from the family. Her bet was her niece, Helena, who was an older sister of Sisi. Archduchess Sophie and Princess Ludovica decided that there would be arranged a meeting between their children, engagement, and then marriage. Okay, simple. However, it's not exactly how it went. Long story short, not to bore you, there was a meeting. And Sisi was tag along as well, so she went together with her sister Helena and her mother. For Sisi, it was supposed to be like, something exciting to go, like fun trip. But in the end, Franz Josef, when he saw Sisi, he met her. He decided like, okay, I don't want Helena, I want Sisi, and it's her or no one else. And this is one of the first times that Franz Josef actually said like firm no to his mother. It's important to know that Archduchess Sophie, she was very strong, very opinionated woman and mother. And in a way, she was kind of, ruling her son. Act of Franz Josef deciding like, no, I don't want to marry Helen, I want to marry Sisi, was kind of like an act of rebellion against Archduchess Sophie. But yeah, in the end, Archduchess Sophie said like, okay, if you want Sisi, we will work with it, right? Yes, in the end, they got married. It was a beautiful wedding, a beautiful wedding gown. Life for Sisi, who was very young, she was 16 by that time, was not easy. Court and all this etiquette and the rules, she did not like it. As I said before, she was more, free spirited. She wanted to do things on her own. She was unhappy quite a lot. Said that actually Franz Josef and Sisi, they actually loved each other. He loved her apparently a lot, but because all the things around them, the situation that they were put, lots of pressure from Sisi's mother-in-law, Archduchess Sophie, to produce an heir and, to listen to her behave like this, like this, like that, put a lot of strain on Sisi's and Franz Josef's relationship. And in the end, like the second part of their lives, they kind of, drifted apart. There were also lots of unhappy events in their life. They lost their first daughter, little Sophie, when she was like 2 or 3 years of age. Sisi was blamed because of that by Archduchess Sophie. Eventually, when Sisi gave birth to son, to future heir, he, as a young man, committed suicide. And I think that was like the last stage, the last thing for Sisi, that she kind of totally withdraw till the end when in 1898 she was assassinated in Geneva. As you may see, her life was not, sugar-coated as it was presented in 1950s movies, Sisi. So how about the new, quite recent Netflix series called The Empress? How do they show our Empress Sisi? Is it also sugar-coated, or maybe it's more real? Definitely, if I'm to compare those two adaptations, 1950s and the Netflix ones, the Netflix ones is more showing this darker side. DC and Netflix period drama is more rebellious. She's less sweet little girl, as shown in 1950s Romy Schneider. She's more determined and more like, I'm going to do my way and I have my voice. Yes, definitely more real, but I wouldn't say it's like 100% as it used to be. It's still sugar coated. I think it's still romanticizing Sisi and the relationship between Franz and Joseph. There are lots of modern elements added to the series, and I think this is because, you know, we're targeting a modern audience, so we need to do things to please them as well. And you can see that with the outfits, the costumes. I really like the costumes, and I really like the fashion from, you know, like mid 19th century. We have this, you know, big crinoline dresses, skirts on the hoops. They look gorgeous. I don't know if I would like to wear them every day. However, they look really, really nice. And I think the show did a really good job. And as I mentioned before, there are modern elements added to the outfits. For example, I think it's more colorful. They added more colors, more kind of modern colors than that would be back in the day. Some cuts look quite modern, like a shirt. I think this yellow shirt and the skirt. That looks gorgeous. It's still within the aesthetic, but I would say it's a very modern take on. Also the hairstyle, I would say back in the day, probably Sisi, I don't think she would have her hair as often, you know, put down or a little bit messy. I get that because we want to show her probably that she was just like, you know, free and a little bit rebellious. So we show it through the hairstyle. But in reality, her hair would be back in the day arranged specifically according to the fashion back then, and we can see it in many, you know, illustration pictures. Despite all these new, fresh elements, I would say they work. They work fine. It's nothing over the top. I always say it's not Bridgerton. Here, everything is just matching. Yeah, we might have those little touches, modern touches here or there, but it matches, and it plays a quite nice integrated role. Same, Franz Josef is pretty accurate, I would say. He was known to be quite a boring man, very like, you know, down to earth, very like military kind of guy, and he was known to wear every day his uniform, the military uniform. That's how he's known for, and yeah, I think the show is doing a pretty good job. I also watch on the German TV a little bit, you know, like behind the scenes, how are they, you know, like preparing the costumes. And apparently some part of the wardrobe came from Gangs of New York. Press, costume design is not bad. It's not bad, and it's pleasant to watch. The final question: should you watch the Empress period drama on Netflix? There are 2 seasons currently. I say yes. And one of the most important reasons, it would be because it's not an English series. It's not an English language series. I always encourage, if you're into period dramas, or not only, but specifically period dramas, watch something else that is not made by BBC or American TV. Obviously, I love English-centered or English language dramas. Yes, I love them. I watch them, right? It's really important to see something from the other angle, something that some topics might be approached from a different, you know, language perspective, culture perspective, not only from this Anglo-Saxon perspective, which might be just one way, but there are many other ways. And the world is big. Things have been happening for years. History is huge, colorful. I don't think that's only one language center or culture center perspective should have a monopoly to tell those stories, especially stories from the past. Yes, if you're into period drama, if you want to watch and find out more about Sisi, the Empress of Austria, if you want to see, a different angle and perspective, not only this Anglo-Saxon one, maybe you want to watch a drama in a different language, just simply as that. You watch the Empress Netflix series. And if you want to watch more romanticized, more fairy tale about Sisi, an amazing role of Romy Schneider, go and watch 1950s Sisi. You will not regret it. You both give you something else, some kind of different feeling. And yeah, just enjoy and let me know which one you prefer more.